a big microscope running down the road. The problem is that given the legality requirements and some of these other things, it's almost impossible to do it because of road regulations and stuff like that. So a coffin was the easiest and most likely gesture kind of design that could get attention. So if you look carefully, we have some flowers here, and then we have the bus there, and this was our crew. Actually, we had a few more people on it at the beginning, but this is the crew right before we got to Vegas. We have Endless Eye, which is the film crew. We have myself, and we also have Jamie Bartlett from the Telegraph. We're sending him some footage to review. We have Dylan Matthews of Vox, and then we have Rowan, our photographer, who is doing all that. So anyways, I'm going to go through about 10 or 12 slides and just show you some, and then we'll run the video, and it's just about 15 minutes to take a look. If you have any questions, be more than happy to ask. But that is our journey, and we just completed the first stage, so we're really excited because we had a huge amount of issues on the very first 3 hours. We thought the trip was over. So if you haven't read the Vox article of The First Person Dispatch by Dylan Matthews, please do so, because it's around 2,000 shares now on Facebook, so the article is doing fantastic. In fact, I've seen the Washington Post national politics editor tweeting it. I've seen huge amounts of really well-known journalists reading it, so the visibility has really helped. But part of it came from the drama that the fact the engine had a major oil problem, and we, for a sec there, thought our trip was over. But anyways, this is the bus, and all of us doing kind of a jump shot. So I'm just going to run through kind of the chronology of our trip and some of the people. To begin with, I built the bus in my front yard. I bought the bus in Sacramento for about $10,000. We did a Kickstarter fund for $25,000. A number of Russian backers really helped us in getting a huge amount of money, and we actually made the funding 100%, so that was really great. But you know, $25,000 frankly isn't that much money for a bus, especially the bus we bought is a 1978 bus with, we don't even know how many miles it has because the speedometer never worked. But we think it's around 150,000. But it works, it's this great diesel thing, it's got funny orange carpet from kind of the hippie era, and a lot of, I think it frankly, it worked pretty well for what we wanted. But the picture here is on Rachel Elm on the right, Rowan in the middle, and our friend Jeremiah on the left. Rachel is the designer of the bus. She's the one working, wearing the Transhumanist Party t-shirt, and she designed the bus as it is. They're all in my front yard where we're building it. We do have a robot on board. It's I call it Jethro after the name of my book, the main character of my book, but it's a mechanoid. It's about 4 feet. It's interactive. Frankly, it kind of fell apart on the trip and we need to do some work to it, but it's a nice robot. So on their journey, these are not chronologically put together perfectly because we're just kind of doing it last minute, but our very first destination after leaving San Francisco on the bus was to go to a grind fest near Mojave, and what I did is I got a NFC RFID microchip built into my hand, and they just kind of take it in. And here you can see our friend Ted is, Jeff, I'm sorry, is about to inject a small little microchip into my hand. What can I do with it? I have it now. You can, for example, walk through a door that will open automatically if it has a lock on it. You can start your car if it has the proper software and the proper device to it. You can do other things like potentially pay with it or potentially have updates with your smartphone. So the first message that a friend gave me was... Can
you park the Red Sea?
Yes, you can park the Red Sea. That's actually one of the additional functions, costs a little bit more, but you can park the Red Sea. Actually, you can't do much with the chip. A lot of the reason I did it was because I wanted to unite the biohackers with the transhumanists together because they are sort of separate communities, and I thought it was very interesting to go there and become buddies with them. We have a little bit of a party, a barbecue, and that kind of thing. So, but this is in their garage, and then they have a special room that's kind of like a little bit of a lab, and it's not a normal hospital or normal medical room or anything like that. That said, the guys were incredibly professional, and I was very happy with getting a chip implant. In fact, a few of us on the bus did. After Mojave and after this grind fest where we spent the night with the biohackers, we went to the CTIA Supermobility, which was put on by Microsoft. It's a 40,000 person conference. I was lucky enough to be invited to speak. a huge amount of amazing things. There was a giant expo floor. We had a chance to mess around with robots and drones. We actually bought a drone for the bus. And we also had a chance to test out virtual reality. So this little egg thing is put on by Samsung, and you can see here, this is actually just a smartphone that fits inside your virtual reality goggles. So your smartphone actually acts as your virtual reality. Now, it's not the greatest virtual reality. I've tested a few, but it's still very cool. And so here we are testing. So the trip was not only, I was speaking at the CTIA, but it was not only about, just kind of having philosophical journeys, talking about transhumanism and some of those other things, but it was also about just exploring the different types of technologies that are out there. This is from my speech at the CTIA. Of course, the number one goal of the Transhumanist Party and the number one goal of the Immortality Bus and the number one goal of my own life, really, is how can we conquer old age and death? We can do it through a myriad of ways, but of course, it's the number one thing that we're promoting. And the reason we're driving the coffin bus is to provoke people's reactions. We're going to go through the middle of the country where a lot of people have not heard of transhumanism, not heard of life extension, and of course they're religious, so they're going to be a little bit upset, but that's the point. We want the coffin to represent what is going to happen to them if they don't end up using science and technology to change and make their lives longer. This is my family at the CTIA. It was actually quite nice. They gave me a presidential badge, and I was the only presidential candidate there. And like I said, there's 40,000 people, so it was an excellent opportunity to talk. And my family was with me. They've only been with me on this part of the journey, and the reason they're running around kind of crazy right now, my daughter, sorry about that, Ava, can you sit down and listen? Is that this is probably the only time that they're going to be on this journey with me, because the bus is actually pretty hardcore, I gotta be honest. It was rugged. The very first night we all had to sleep on it because it was Labor Day weekend and there was absolutely no hotels in the towns we visited. So, it's actually a bit of a rugged trip. We're trying to replicate the trips of the 60s that helped change culture. The bus trips of the 60s brought on these kind of cultural revolutions of peace and love. Well, we're trying to do the same thing with our bus, except for life extension, for science, for transhumanism. So this is the one photo from there. This is me with my infant. This is Jamie Bartlett. He's written one of the articles about the Immortality Bus. Came out about 2 days ago. He works for the Telegraph. So the Telegraph is one of England's largest papers. And here he is on the bus with my daughter. And if you want to read his article, it's fascinating. He wrote about the biochip implant. And while he didn't get one himself, and he was a bit skeptical, I got to say it's a fascinating article. And actually, his article was covered on one of the major, I think Channel 4, one of the major news channels in England, and therefore so was the Immortality Bus, because half the article is about the Immortality Bus. So it was great to have embedded journalists with us, especially from the Telegraph and Vox, because together we had daily dispatches going out. And ever since that point, we've had about 8 or 9 more original articles from people writing about their articles. So here we are at the Venetian. We happened to meet some friends, just taking a simple picture. Fun stuff by the bus. You can see how sweaty and crazy we look. It was like 105 degrees in Vegas, and the pool, we don't have air conditioning. I closed the air conditioning with the coffin top, so we couldn't use it. It became a fire hazard. So we're literally just driving down there in the heat. This is my daughter holding Death is Wrong on the book. This is Gendy Soloff's little